Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing well. Happy Tuesday to everyone. I just wanted to touch very briefly, at least I hope, I hope it's brief, on the importance of simply saying thank you. Oftentimes we don't realize the importance or the weight that a simple thank you can carry. And we tend to forget that to show appreciation to someone, even for the smallest of things, it can open doors. It can do so much, not only for you, but also for that person. Sometimes all a person wants to know is that they're appreciated. They want to know that their efforts, no matter how small they may be, they just want to know that their efforts are seen, that it's acknowledged, and that it's appreciated. We forget sometimes that a simple thank you is all it takes to make a person feel appreciated, to make a person feel wanted, to let them know that, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see what you are trying to do. I appreciate the fact that you have taken the initiative to do certain things and to change certain things about you or about yourself or whatever. It's just a matter of saying thank you, you know? Appreciation is key. Whether it's from your kids, whether it's from your family members and friends, whether it's from your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, always be mindful. Always be mindful of the efforts that a person takes or try to do in an attempt to put a smile on your face and to keep you happy. So I just wanted to touch very briefly on this because, again, we tend to forget. We tend to forget. When you let a person know that they're appreciated, when you let them know that their efforts is being seen and you appreciate the effort that they take, it makes a person want to do things for you. It doesn't make sense to say you're going to get upset about it, pardon my French, that you're going to bitch about it because you feel as though that a person's efforts isn't up to your standards. We have to understand that people are different. And oftentimes it takes a while for a person to get to the point that you feel they should be. So rather than breaking a person down because, again, you feel as though they're not doing anything, because you feel as though that it isn't up to your level or it isn't up to your standards because the little effort that they're making or trying to make didn't meet your approval. So rather than breaking somebody down and making them feel lower than dirt or making them feel devalued, it would work so much more in your favor if you just acknowledge. For example, let's say, as far as doing chores around the house is concerned, maybe you wanted your kids or your mate to be more hands-on with the chores as far as helping is concerned. Because sometimes you may be tired or whatever, you may not be feeling well, and you are unable to do the chores. But if you see that they take the initiative, and sometimes kids, especially little kids, in their attempt in trying to help, they create a bigger mess, and that can be annoying, but again, we still have to acknowledge the fact that they wanted to help. We still have to thank you, and we still have to speak kindly to them and be like, thank you for trying to help me, but I got it. If it's your spouse that you felt should be more hands-on as helping with, the chores around the house, and they have been trained, because certain men have been trained to think and believe that their only job in the household is to go out and provide. Once they're home, they feel like, nothing concerning the house is their responsibility. It's a sad case. It's a sad situation, but oftentimes that is the reality. And if you are a person that, usually is like pulling a tooth and trying to get them to help you with the chores around the house. If you see they take, if you've noticed that they have taken the initiative to attempt to help, even if it's just to simply take out the trash or whatever, acknowledge it. It's always the simple things. Like I've said this to people many times, and I can't stress it enough. It's always the little things that carries the most weight. It's always the little things that shows your sincerity and shows how considerate you are of a person that you are with. So again, whatever the situation may or may not be, whether it's a situation where you are trying to get your mate to be a little bit more sensitive towards you in the way that they speak, or there is an issue in the relationship or the marriage, and you have suggested counseling, and they've refused the counseling or whatever, but you've noticed that they start paying attention to little things about you, or try to do things that they feel is more pleasing to you. If you've noticed that they started buying books on how to handle certain situations or whatever, even though they rejected going to counseling to try and fix the problem. Oftentimes counseling is needed, but sometimes it takes a little nudge for another person to agree, because their thinking is like, I'm an adult, I can fix my situation myself, I don't need an outsider to come in and tell me how to work and fix my marriage. But you notice, like, they're listening to certain audios, or they've started to follow certain life coaches. Again, you've noticed that they're reading more, like the type of books that they are reading or whatever. Acknowledge it and say thank you for at least considering, thank you for trying, thank you for making the attempt. And it's going to make them feel good. And you will find that rather than breaking somebody down for the lack of effort, when you start to acknowledge the baby steps that they are taking towards fixing whatever the issue may or may not have been, you will notice the more you acknowledge it, in a positive way. I need to say I need to say that because sometimes we can acknowledge things negatively. You know, when we start to acknowledge another person's effort in a more positive light, you will notice gradually, it's not going to happen overnight. No, we have to be realistic. But the more we practice acknowledging another person's effort in a more positive light, you will notice gradually, slowly but surely, they will start to evolve and becoming a better version of themselves. And eventually, it will get to the point where it's to where you've always wanted them to be, or to the point where you've always believed they can be, or that the relationship becomes smoother, it becomes better. Will it be perfect? No, it will not. But you'll notice that there'll be less hostility in the house. So I again, the importance of saying thank you to the people around you, letting them know that they are appreciated and that you value and notice their efforts and you are grateful for their efforts. It's going to do so much more than nagging and arguing and tearing and breaking another person down. Because the more a person, especially men, the more they feel unappreciated, they are going to give up. They're going to feel like, what is the point? Because if we as females can feel unappreciated, what do you think about the men in our lives? Don't you think that they feel unappreciated too? Especially if they themselves are trying to make an effort, and rather than we acknowledge their efforts, we tear them down and we break them down. And then we wonder, like sometimes, like, where we went wrong. Sometimes when people say you have to uplift and encourage your spouse or your mate, you have to speak life into your mate and into the situation. Speaking life and being supportive and being encouraging also mean saying thank you. It also means being appreciative for the little things that they do for you. The more you acknowledge their efforts, gradually, the greater the effort is going to be. And they are going to get there. We as females sometimes can be so self-involved in our own wants, in our own needs, that we at times forget to acknowledge our mates' wants and needs. We can be so self-involved, so self-absorbed in our own thinking, in our own feelings, in everything about us or concerning us, that we neglect to acknowledge our mates' feelings, their wants and their needs, and the way that they're feeling. Men may not talk about it as much as we do. They don't talk about it as much as we do. But try it. Just try it for a short period of time, for 7 days, or for 30 days. Just try it. Just, babe, thank you for taking out the trash. Even though, maybe it's their job. Maybe that is the only thing you require of them to do. But, if even you don't have to say it every day, but once in a while, every now and then, baby, I thank you. Thank you for working as hard as you do. Thank you for protecting this family. Thank you for simply being you. Like the little things, even as simple like excuse me, going out on a date and you notice, there are beautiful women, out there, but the mere fact that your mate is fighting temptations and trying to remain and be loyal and faithful to you, that in itself is an acknowledgement, because it is so hard out there. You have to, baby, thank you for fighting temptation. Thank you for being loyal. Thank you for being, just thank you for simply being you, the kind of person that you are. Thank you for having the kind of heart that you do have. Thank you for being so supportive of my dreams, of my hopes. Thank you for being there and helping to bring up the kids and helping with the homework or whatever. Just acknowledge whatever it may or may not be. Just acknowledge it. Let another person know that their efforts is being seen. You see it, you acknowledge it, you appreciate it, and thank them for it. Again, we have to understand the importance and the value of simply saying thank you.